Hello and welcome, brothers and sisters of the multiverse. Today I want to talk about true connections. I think we all heard about the so-called loneliness epidemic. It's everywhere, almost everywhere. I'll get to that in the world. And it isn't only in big cities, although in big cities it's more prevalent, I'd say. Because if you ever lived in a smaller city or a village and moved to a big city, or you lived in a big city and moved to a small town or something, you feel it. You feel that how people act and talk and behave differently. There are masks here and there as well, although they might be different. In small towns right, where everyone knows everyone, people are also trying to project a certain image of themselves and keep it. In big cities, it's more like all those success projections, right? Or look how different I am, images of themselves. But still, remaining in any kind of mask can't make true connections. People are ever more reporting how lonely they are, no matter in how bigger groups of people they are. Because sadly, almost everyone is playing that game. That show, the theater of the masks, and there is no true connection, especially in groups. Even if there are 3 of you or 4 out of 20, and you are yourselves among you and them, there would be this fear of how you would be mocked for that. Even if it's only friendly choice. It's annoying. I mean, those who don't know themselves, those who identify their masks, just can't see it, they can't feel it. So in the culture nowadays, if you want to make a true connection to someone, first you gotta check out if they themselves even know who they are. and then make a one-on-one, right? Just one-on-one conversations are better for that. You feel it. Many of us feel it. When someone enters the room who isn't on the same frequency, let's say, how the air in the room changes, kind of. And those of us who are empathic, you even feel how they feel before they even open their mouth. But also when the room is full of masks, and you are also acting out your mask, and then someone comes in who is authentic, you just can't miss it, and your attention goes there, right? It's really a feeling. It's really what people say, we just vibed, right? It's something science is not even close to seriously researching, because there's no money in that, right? Those who pay them, they can't measure it, but we all know it, more or less instinctively. You all felt it on one or another level. So why aren't we just all authentic, always? Why do we do all those dances of nothingness? People approach themselves and get to know each other by get to know what music they're like, or what movies they're like, or whatever. Those surface level pointers, shores, indicators. We can like the same things for different reasons, or from different developmental levels, let's say. So these are not good pointers. So again, how do we make true connections? How do we stay authentic? What prevents us from that is mostly just fear of rejection. And intuitively we know that rejection of our true selves would hurt even more than the rejection of our mask. Of course. But hiding behind smiles and politeness, masked performance, doesn't let us ever truly connect. Take some courage to just stay you. But it's the only way. You want true connections. You want people then to get to know the true you. And even if they know who they are and don't vibe with you, that's also just expected. Don't be surprised. You get to know like 100 people to find one who you vibe with because they're so different. Don't take that rejection personally. It almost never is personal. So what's the incentive, let's say, to risk it? It's the one thing people crave, most people crave, but try to compensate it with consumerism and all of that. Quantity over quality, friends, and all of that nonsense that we see just doesn't work. But when you risk it and when you try, and when you work on that realization that it's okay to be rejected because you don't vibe. It's just how it is. Granite is not titanium and silver is not platinum. It's just how it is. We're all on our different paths in life and different stages of development. Have different focuses in lives. That is what makes us unique, but also then, right? Makes us hard to connect with at least approximately similar people, right? Plus, there's all those different worldviews, value systems that are also based in different information and life experiences that people have and all of that. So what is the core? What is the key in which people just get along and understand each other and respect each other, even though they have many differences? Those who seem to have many similarities but don't get along and always fighting or something, right? What is the key? I mean, there are levels and levels again. Those who fight might get along because they both like fighting for whatever reason or something, right? But I'm not talking about that now. I mean, true connection in a way that most of us, I think, want. Is that, oh my god, I can relax, I'm so much lighter with this person because I don't have to think about what to say, how to behave, what to wear, what to do, what not to do. Just be myself, just relax and be accepted as that true connection. That is such a jackpot, right? Just not having to think about anything, just being, just enjoying each other's companies, and, you know, it takes courage. It takes courage in the first place, in that, let's say, first few interactions, to stay you. Despite of the fear. The fear itself of being rejected dissolves. And you just understand it's not personal. It doesn't say much of your worth or their mindset or something. It's just most people can't. If you want to look at it like from the color theory perspective, right? There are monochromatic friendships and partnerships where people are aligned, but just one is more is less advanced in that or something. Or then there are those complementary colors, right? That we are different, but how the other person is different complements what I lack, let's say, and what my strengths complement what they lack, and you know, it's pretty much like that. That's why they say like opposites attract and all of that. Opposites of what is also the question, because of all those traps of codependencies and all of that stuff, right? One has to be aware, of course, of oneself first, always, and know oneself enough to know why something attracts them, and then aware of the others, of why they're thinking or doing or saying or what they do. You know. But only when we let go of the fear and get to know someone, you kind of learn to see over time who is real and who is not. Kind of feel it. Just feel it. Sometimes it's a single hand gesture or something that is so subtly artificial to see that they're not real, that they're in a mask, or at least Phantom of the Opera like half mask. You know, they show one side of the true personality, but they hide the other. You know, there are all kinds of combinations. Some have just a tenth of the mask off, some have just a tenth hidden, right? So only with all the masks, all of the masks gone. And if it wipes, then you have something rare and precious. What hurts people the most, I think, is rejection from the closest of us. Let's say you're a young person of 20, 25 years or so, and you had that mask for certain people in your family, or your parents, or your siblings, or whatever. And suddenly you decide to be yourself. You already hear it, right? Oh, you changed. It's inconvenient for them because now you're unpredictable. Then they resent that, and then they let you feel like they resent you. But in that case, where you had to wear a mask, you were never accepted and loved in the first place. That's a hard, bitter pill to swallow, right? But that comes from a very early age in childhood, where you've been at one time yourself and was reprimanded for it or something by your parents, for example, and then you saw it for the first time, oh, and concluded, if I'm that, I'm not gonna be loved, so I'll be that. That's when the mask starts, right? And if you do it long enough, if you wear it long enough, you start to identify with it. And most people even forget that there was ever another them. That's the saddest part. But it isn't personal. If you get to know yourself, if you start to recognize that it doesn't work for you anymore, that something within you wants to break out, and you want to say what you wanted to say for the last 20 years to someone or something, and it eats you up inside. Maybe you shouldn't let it burst out, right? When people then suddenly let go, the pressure, the build-up was too great, and then it just gets hurtful for the other. One has to let out the steam easily, slowly first. And then, if one cares for that other person, just say, look, all my life, whenever that happened or whenever you said that and that, I felt like that and that. And, that built up the whole chain of you thinking of me, that and that, and all of that. You can take your time and even write it down first to get aware of the real chain of events that initiated, right? Before you talk to the person. But main thing is catch them in their calmest, not in the middle of some work or something when they can't even, right, concentrate and be themselves. This has to be a calm discussion. Just, hey, look, I have something to tell you. And it's not gonna be easy. When do you have time for that? But just calm. And then you'll see, if you stay calm by explaining all of that, and you see on their reactions if they care about that and if they care about you, or are they so immature, let's say, to take it personally, like you are then rejecting them or something. You can't change those people. Don't even try. People outgrow people. It's just how it is. Even though one is 50 years old and the other is 20, that has nothing to say regarding that self-knowledge. Years are not the issue. But soul maturity, let's say, is. It can go good, it can go bad. But this is about you, not them. This is about you not having to carry the burden of wearing that mask. You are entitled to be you. As long, of course, as you don't hurt others with that. If that doesn't mean that you're a cannibal or something, you can be you. If you don't hurt anyone else with it, you're entitled to be you. And you can't be fulfilled and happy joyful in life if you don't allow yourselves to be you. Of course, that can mean losing friends, losing family members, losing even partners, or sometimes jobs, whatever. Find another. I mean, in jobs, it's the hardest to be. I know, and you need that paycheck. I get that. But I mean, if you can manage it, some people are good at, and it seems like they carry that weight better than others of the fakeness at work. Maybe because that's the only time when they have to be fake, up to a point. Maybe they don't have to do it at home also, and the circle of friends, and you know, with a partner, whatever. But it's still half the day. Always having to break yourselves before saying what you mean to a certain person or something. It's always and then of course that also depends on how personally you take some of what they say or do that is just quasi the definition of their job and part of their mask. You know, it's never easy. It's all complexities and interconnections and dynamics, right? But the red line is the less you have to pretend in your life, the happier you are, the freer, the lighter, the more joyful. So I wouldn't necessarily advise someone who is only beginning to realize themselves and trying to get rid of their mask, to do it on all those places at once. Maybe try it first with your family, or first with your friends, or first with your partner, or whatever. Try it in small doses. But try it in a peaceful conversation. When there's turmoil and everyone's running around and in hectic and stress, and then forget it. Then the masks have to be pure duratanium or something. So, no, only in calm, peace environments can one even begin to talk about this stuff seriously. a good indicators are really those micro expressions and learning body languages and tones of voice and all of that. Those of us who are empaths, they have it easier, they have it already. That systems upgrade, but most people don't. They have to learn that. You can't even tell them that because most people completely miss all those signs, let's say. You can't talk to someone who isn't that aware and perceptive. You remember when those person told you that and he stood that way and leaned towards that person while holding his hand in that position or something. You know, for some people, it just clicks, the whole picture clicks. He's aggressive because he's afraid or something. You know, most people are just reacting to that and then are afraid because they're aggressive. And two fearful people completely miss each other. You know, but some people have those skills inherited, some people don't. But those who don't can learn. It can be learned. Just by finding that stillness within them, just training that skill of pause the moment. Just pause the moment and watch and analyze. And over time, you can do it ever faster and faster. It gets automatically, you read the room in a second. It can be learned. So, every one of those steps brings us closer to that skill of true interpersonal connection. Of that what we all more or less consciously crave. But it's worth it. Every failed attempt, every so-called rejection, that is actually no rejection at all. With every step we lose that fears, we get closer to be able to connect with others on that soul-to-soul level. It's worth everything. It just is. We're built for that. We've just forgotten. And if hopefully soon, one day, this happens globally, the world would also be a whole different place. I mentioned it in the beginning. Almost in every part of the world it is so. And curiously enough, in the most developed countries, we've gone the furthest away from that. But look at of how people in the less developed ones truly are more themselves. The poorest countries in the world, they still, like the Navi, right, see each other. More than in the developed countries. There's kind of a direct correlation that I see to that. The less money, the less distractions you can afford, right? And the more distractions you have, the less time with yourself you have, and with your thoughts and your feelings. See, we're not that kind of animal that is built to just every second for waking time be filled with information without time for digestion. We need that time. We need time for ourselves. We have to make more efforts, let's say, to claim it. Just without technology, without the others. That's why also those who recommend walks in the park, even half an hour a day. I mean, it plays into that. Just by enjoying the moment, just by being with yourself, just by calming down the nervous system, just by think about stuff, about the world, about yourself, about others, whatever, in a manner that no one hears but yourself. No one judges, no one puts it under a microscope. It's much easier for people then to be truthful in their conclusions, realizations, right? That's what we need. We need more of that. I would even say 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe 5 hours a day, maybe the whole day. Maybe for some people they get so drained in one day with a group of people that they need 10 days to recuperate and regroup and fill up the batteries again. You know, there are those differences too. For someone, it's enough to be 6 days in a row within people, and you know, these extroverts and stuff. They have it much easier. And then they take the Sunday, let's say, for themselves, down, batteries up, and they can go on into another week. But introverts and empaths, for them it's the other way around. And if they don't see and acknowledge to themselves, I can't do this, it doesn't work for me, it just drains them and drains them more than they can ever fill that battery up. Then they get, of course, depressed or numb or anxious or whatever. But the system, they don't care. They would like us to work even 7 days a week for 12 hours a day or something. All of us, like we're all the same. That just doesn't work. No matter how many pharmaceuticals you wanna shove down the throat, it's barbaric. People, many people, if not most people, need time for themselves in peace and connection again with nature and with themselves in the first place. For some people, it means they're able to work 1 out of 10 days. For some it's 5 out of 5. For some it's 9 out of 10. We are that different. But the more of us realize that, where they truly stand with that, and come out with that, and speak about that, and let them know about that, let the world know, the sooner we will have some better work-life balances. Those can't be uniformly thrown out at everyone like they're the same. It just doesn't work. And before any spleen or liver damage from all the pharmaceutical, they have to take to just give up. No, you have to start that practices too. It's just healing with leeches. It's just outdated. It's just unhealthy. It's just damaging to those whom it should serve. It doesn't serve anyone. It just serves the companies. So true connections is what this world is missing. To themselves first, then to others, then to reshape the system that makes sense for everyone. How does that sound? Reasonable? Halfway reasonable? Let me know in the comments. Love you, brothers and sisters.